Hey guys, welcome to another project build. I feel like I've been neglecting my front-end developer audience a little bit lately, so I wanted to do a simple project for you guys. We're going to be building a Bootstrap website or theme, whatever you want to call it, that implements a little bit of animation and scrolling effect. So we're going to do this with a package called ScrollReveal, and what this does is it allows us to add a little bit of JavaScript to make any element that we want on the page animate when it's loaded or when we scroll down to it. Okay, there's also a lot of different options and tweaks that you can use to customize the effects. So this is what we'll be building. I just called it text scroll, and basically we just have this, we have a nav bar up here with no background, it's just plain white, and we have this showcase area with a big image of the Google Home device, some text over here, then we have a testimonial underneath, and we have another image here, some text, and then two more info text blocks, and then a little contact form with a background image. Now if I go and I reload this, you'll see that there's quite a bit of animation going on here. Everything kind of slides in nice and smooth. And then if I start to scroll, you'll see that, and then the next one. Okay, so it doesn't actually fire off until you're scrolled down to it, and you've probably seen this effect before. I personally like it. I think it's really nice. I mean, you don't want too much going on, but I think that looks pretty nice. So I modeled this website or this theme after this ydirection.com/advent. If we reload this, you'll see it has same, not the exact same, but similar effects. And then as we scroll down, you can see that things kind of pop in. I mean, this is a production site, so obviously this is a little better than my little site that I created in about 45 minutes, but same idea. Okay, and for this site, if we click on a link, kind of brings us down, and it keeps the nav bar shown, just like if we go over here and we click about, it brings us down. Okay, now this functionality is not from ScrollReveal. This is from just a block of jQuery code that we're going to use, and you can use that in your future projects as well. So that's what we'll be building. This is the GitHub page for ScrollReveal. This has all the documentation. You can see we can install it with npm or bower if we want, but I'm going to go the easy way and just use the script tag. All right, and then what you do is take an element, for instance, this div with the class of foo, and just stick it in this sr.reveal, and then you can apply all these different options or configurations to it, such as where it comes in from, where the animation comes from, the distance it travels, the duration, the delay, all kinds of stuff. So you can really customize it. All right, so that's what we will be building. I'm just going to go over to my desktop and create a new folder, and I'm just going to call this text scroll. Okay, and then we're going to open that from within my editor. I'm using Atom, but you can use whatever you'd like. So I'm going to say add project folder, desktop, text scroll, and then we're going to create some files. So we're going to need an index.html file, and then we're going to want a folder for CSS, a folder for images, which I'll call img, and then in the CSS folder we want a file called style.css. Okay, and that should be all the files that we need. Now I'm going to use the live server package for Atom, which will open up the current directory on my local host. You can install that if you want. If you're using Atom, you can go to settings and go to install, and we want to search for, I think it's live server, I believe. Let's see, or maybe it's live reload. Where is it? Right here. This is what I'm using, Atom Live Server. So if you go ahead and install that, you'll be able to go up to Packages, Live Server, and I'm going to start this on port 4000. Okay, so there's our website, which is blank at the moment. Okay, now you don't have to do that. You can simply open the index.html file if you want, or you could use a different kind of server, whatever you want to do. So first thing we'll do is just put in some HTML tags, head and body and all that. So in the title, I'm just going to say text scroll, and then what we'll do is grab the script tag for ScrollReveal, which is right here. Okay, so all we have to do is paste that in and we can use it. So we're also going to need Bootstrap. I'm going to use the CDN, so you can get that at bootstrapcdn.com. And I'll just grab this CSS right here, copy that, or CSS link I should say, and we'll put that in a link tag, give it a rel of style sheet, and then href, and then we'll paste that in there. Okay, I'm also going to link the style sheet that we created. So style sheet href, and that's going to be in the CSS folder, and then style.css. Okay, we're also going to want the Bootstrap JavaScript link, so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that down right above the ending body tag. So we'll put script source equals, paste that in. Now this Bootstrap JS file actually needs jQuery as well, so let's grab the jQuery CDN. I'm going to just grab this uncompressed version 3, copy that, make sure that's above your Bootstrap script tag, and then that should do it as far as things that we need to include. Oh, one more thing, we need the fonts. So I'm going to just paste this in. Let me just grab it real quick. Alright, I'm going to put this right below the title, and I'm going to paste it in. So this is just a link to use some Google fonts. So fonts.googleapis.com/css, !family equals Poppins. So you just want to copy this exact. We're also using the Roboto or Roboto font, and this looks like Jose Finn. This is just the font that website that I showed you uses. Alright, so just get that in there. And if you don't want to type it all out, just get it from the project files. Alright, so we should be all set now. So we're going to start at the top and work our way down. We're going to build out the interface, and then we'll add the animation and stuff. Alright, so we're going to start with the Navbar. So when I do a Bootstrap Navbar, I usually just go to Get Bootstrap, and then go to Getting Started and Examples, and then the Starter template, and then we'll do a Control U, and I'll just grab this nav tag here. Okay, this has all the markup we need for it to be responsive and all that. So we'll put that right under the body, the opening body tag, and we're going to keep the Navbar fixed top because we always want it at the top. I'm going to change this to Navbar default, and then we're going to change the project name to TechScroll. And for the navigation here, well, first of all, we'll get rid of this active class. And then home is actually going to go to the ID of showcase. About is going to go to the ID of info1. And contact will go to contact. And that's all we need to do for the navbar as far as the markup. So let's save that. And if we go back, and now you see we have our navbar. Now I want to get rid of the gray background and this border. I also want to move these links over to the right. So this UL right here, we're just going to add navbar right, and that'll float those over. Okay, and then we're going to go to our style CSS, and we want to get rid of the background of that navbar. So let's do dot navbar default, and we're going to change background to white. And let's change the border to 0, and we're going to change the font family to Poppins. Okay, we'll save that. Whoops. And let's go back, and there we go. Now this branding right here, I want to make that a little more prominent, so that has a class of navbar-brand. And we're going to change the font size to 20 pixels. We're going to change the color to black. And what else did I want to do? Oh yeah, I want to make it bold. So font weight bold. So we'll save that. Okay, now I want it completely black. It looks like this isn't working. What we need to do is just add on important, and then that will overwrite any other styles it has. Good. So that's it for the navbar. Now what I want to do is the showcase area. So let's go back to our HTML, and we're going to go right under the nav and put in a section tag. Alright, so section is an HTML5 tag, and we're going to give this an ID of showcase. Okay, and then in the showcase we're going to put a container. Okay, container, we'll just basically move it away from the sides, put it in the middle. And then we want a row, because we're using the grid system, Bootstrap grid system, and we're going to have two 6-column rows. So if we look at the finished one, this splits in half, and we have a 6-column div here and a 6-column div here. So that's what we want to do. So let's put another div, and we'll give this a class of callMD6 for when the window is at the medium size. We also want callSM6 for when it's at the small size. Okay, both situations should only have 6-column divs. All right, and then I'm just going to go copy this and go right under it and paste it in. And then this is where the image is going to go. Now I'm going to wrap the image in a class called showcase_left. And I'm doing that because this is the element that we're going to add the animation to. Okay, it's going to have the image come down from the top. You'll see if I reload this, it comes down from the top. And then we'll put the image in here. So img source, that's going to be in the img folder, and it's called image1.jpg. Okay, and you should have these in your project files. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and add it. Let's see, where am I? Text scroll, img, and I'm just going to grab all 3 images and paste them in. Okay, so this is the one we're working with right now. The other 2 are actually PNG files, just to point out. Alright, so we have that set. Now on this div, we're going to have another div with the class of showcase_right. Okay, and in here we're going to have an H1, and I'm just going to grab the text real quick, paste that in, and then we're going to have a paragraph, and I'm just going to grab that text as well, which is just dummy text. If you're using Atom, you can actually just type in lorem and then tab, and it'll give you a bunch of sample content. Alright, so the button that is on that side, we don't want in the showcase_right, because we want that animation separate. Okay, remember it has a little delay. So we're going to go under that div and then put in an A tag with the class of btn, btn default, btn-lg, that'll make it a little bigger, and also showcase-btn, which is our own class. Okay, and that's just going to say read more. So let's go ahead and save it and take a look. Alright, now notice everything is under the navbar. That's because we have the fixed top class. So a solution for that is to add to the body a margin top, pushing everything down. So let's go back to our CSS, and we're going to put in body, and let's say margin top 70 pixels. Okay, so that should push everything down. Good. So now we just have some styles for the showcase that we need to add. So let's go back to our style sheet, and the heading right here, I want this to be bigger. I'm going to set that to 50 pixels and also add some margin underneath. So let's say the ID of showcase, we want the H1, and we're going to set the font size to 50 pixels, and then set a margin bottom to 20 pixels. Now all of the headings on the site I want to have the Poppins font, so I'm going to go right under the body here, H1 through H6, and let's say font family, we're going to set that to Poppins. And then for the paragraphs, we're going to set that font family to Roboto, I think it is. Okay, save that. Okay, so you can see the font type has changed now. So back to the showcase. I want this image to only be 90% of its container. Okay, so we'll make it a little smaller. So let's go down here and say showcase image. We're going to set the width of it to 90% of its container. And then we just want to move it over a little. So we're going to say margin, what is it? Margin left. We're going to set that to 60 pixels. Save that. Okay, so now you can see it's a little smaller. Now I want to move this down more so it's kind of in the middle of the image. And remember, that has a class of showcase right. So we'll say ID showcase and then class showcase right. And we're just going to set margin top to 90 pixels. And now that's pushed down. Alright, I also want to just put a line break right before that button. So right here we'll just put in a BR tag. There we go. Alright, so the showcase should be all set aside from the animation, which we'll do in a little bit. So now we're going to move on to the next part, which is this testimonial right here. So let's go back and go under the showcase section, and then we'll create another section. And let's see, we're going to give this an ID of testimonial. And then let's put a container. And in here we're going to just have a paragraph. Now if you're using Atom or Sublime Text, you can just do lorem tab and it'll give you a bunch of sample content. I'm just going to wrap this in a paragraph. I'm also going to wrap it in quotes since it's a quote. Okay, and then under that we're going to have another paragraph, and that's going to have a class of customer, and then here we're just going to put a hyphen and then John Doe. So let's save that. Okay, there it is. So now we're going to go back to our style sheet. And let's see, we're going to work with the ID of testimonial. We're going to set the background of that to a really light gray. So F1 3 times. And we're going to set the padding to 50 top, 0, 30 on the bottom, and then 0. Okay, and I want to align everything to the center, so we can say text align center. And let's add a margin to the top of 40 pixels. So let's see what that looks like. Alright, now we need to do the text, so I'm going to just do testimonial P for the paragraphs. And let's set the font size to much larger. I'm going to say 32 pixels. And then the font family, font family is going to be this, I don't know how that's pronounced, Josephine, Josephine Sans. Let's actually wrap that in quotes. Alright, and then the color of it I want to be black, so we're going to say color black. Alright, let's take a look. Okay, that's way too long. I just want to take some characters off that. Let's see what that looks like. That's too short. Let's try that. Yeah, I guess that's fine. But the customer right here, I want that to be smaller. So let's go back to the style and go say testimonial p.customer. And then I'm going to set the font size. And we're going to set that to 20 pixels. And then make it a little lighter. So color will be 666. There we go. All right, so now the next thing we want to do is this right here. This is info1, and then this is info2. So let's go back to our HTML. Let's throw in our section. Okay, and this section is going to have an ID of info1, and we're going to have two 6-column divs here, just like the showcase. So let's first put in a container. All right, and then in the container we're going to have a row, and then we're going to have our call MD6, call SM6, and I'm just going to copy that because we need two of these. So on this side we're going to have an image. I'm going to wrap this in a div with the class of info left for this one, and then the image, which will have a source attribute of img/image2.png. Okay, and then on this side we'll have a div with the class of info right, and in here we'll have an h2 that'll say get to know Google Home, and then a paragraph, and I'm just going to grab that text real quick, throw that in. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to have the button right under the paragraph. Actually, we're going to put a line break and then the button, which is a link with the class of btn, and then btn default and btn lg. That'll make it larger. And this will just say read more as well. All right, let's save it. And let's go back to our version and reload. And that's what it looks like. Okay, so we want to do a little bit of styling over here. So let's go back to style CSS. And I want to basically just move this down. Okay, so we know that we have the ID of info1, and then we have a class of info right. And we're just going to add a margin. Margin top, and we're going to make that 90 pixels. Okay, and actually I think that's all we need to do there. Oh, you know, one thing I did want to do is set the body text, the default, to 16 pixels because it's a little small now. So let's say font size 16 pixels and save. There we go. So now this text is a little bigger. So that looks pretty good. Let's go on to info2 now. So we'll go back to index.html. And what I'll do is just copy info1, this whole section, and then we'll paste that in and change this to 2. And let's see, I'm going to keep the info left and right. I just want to remove this image. And then for down here, I'm going to keep the H2. I'm just going to change it to info block, the heading. And we'll keep the same text, and then I'm going to take away the line break and the button or the link. Okay, and then we'll just copy this H2 in this paragraph, copy that, and paste that in here as well. Okay, so info left and right are the same. Okay, we'll say block 1 here and then block 2 here. All right. And then let's see what else. We need the footer. Actually, let's see what that looks like first. Okay, that's fine. Since both this info1 and info2 are both white on the background, I'm just going to put an HR in the middle of them. So right here. There we go. And now we'll move on to what? The contact area. So let's go under this section and put a new one. All right, and this section is going to have an ID of contact. And it'll have a container. And a row. So this will be call. This is actually going to be a 5 column. So call MD-5 and then call SM-5. So we'll have a 5 column and a 7 column. Okay, the form will go in the 5 column, nothing's going to go in the 7 column. You'll see if we look at the final version, there's nothing over here in the 7. Okay, the form will go in the 5 column. So let's do that. Now for the form, I'm going to just paste this in because I don't want to waste too much time here with stupid stuff. So I'm going to paste it in. See, we have a form tag. We have form group divs, one with a name, the input, email label, email input, and then a message. Okay, and then a submit button. So let's go ahead and save that and go to our version, and it looks like this. So I want the info 2, which is this right here, to have a margin to kind of push this down a little. So let's go back to style, and we'll say info 2, and we're going to add margin. So top 20 pixels, sides will have 0, bottom will have 60 pixels. Okay, and then for contact, we want to set that image for the background. So let's say background, so we'll set URL. That's going to be .. Okay, because we're in the style CSS folder, so we need to go up one and then into the IMG folder. So that's what the .. does, is brings us up one. Okay, and then that image is called image3.png. All right, and then I'm going to add 40 pixels padding. And let's see, we're going to make the color white because the image is dark. And then I just want a border on the top and bottom. So we'll say border top, which will be a dark gray. That'll be 7 pixels and solid. And then we'll do the same on the bottom. Okay, save that. And there we go. So now for the footer, which is extremely simple. Basically, we want to go under this last section and say footer. And I'm just going to put in a paragraph. And that'll say copyright. And then we'll put ampersand copy semicolon, which will give us a copyright symbol 2017. And we'll just say, I guess, text scroll. Alright, and then for this paragraph, I'm going to give it a class of text center, which is a Bootstrap class. And let's take a look. Okay, I just want to add a little bit of padding to that, so let's go to our style sheet, say footer, and we'll add padding of 40 pixels. There we go. Actually, let's do 30. Okay, so basically the markup is complete. Now we need to enable the animation. All right, so we're going to go back to index.html and figure out what we want to do here. So I want a lot of different things to have an animation. The navbar, this side, the testimonial, and then these two. So let's go to the bottom here. Yeah, we're going to go under everything. So under the Bootstrap JS, way down here. Okay, and then we'll put in our script tag. Let's see, I don't need that. So to use the plugin, we need to say window.sr equal to ScrollReveal, and then we should be able to say sr.reveal. .reveal, and then the element that we want. So we're going to start with, let's start with the navbar. So it has a class of navbar, and let's see, it's going to have a second parameter with the options. Okay, so let's set let's set the duration to 2 seconds, which is going to be 2000 because it goes by milliseconds. And let's set the origin, basically where we want it to come from, and I'm going to say bottom. Alright, so let's save that and see if it works. So if we go, yep, if we reload, you'll see it comes up from the bottom and it has a duration of 2 seconds. Alright, next we're going to do the showcase left, which is the big Google Home image. All we have to do, let's put a semicolon here, and then I'll just copy this. And then let's put in the class showcase left. And let's see, duration is going to be the same. Origin I want to be the top. And then I also want to add a distance because I want it to look like it's kind of coming from the very top. So the distance, I'm going to set that to 300 pixels. Save that, and there we go. It comes in from the top. Now this over here, showcase right, I want that to come in from the right. So I'm going to just copy this again, and that'll be showcase right. And that's going to have an origin of right. And I'm also going to set that to 300 pixels distance. Save it. There we go. Now the button, I actually want that to have a little delay. I want that to come in last. So let's paste that in, and then I'll change this. I think it's showcase BTN for the button. And then I'm just going to add a delay of 2 seconds. So this should start when the other stuff stops because that has a duration of 2 seconds. Alright, and then the origin, I'm going to set that to bottom. Okay, and we'll get rid of the distance. Save that. Comes in. 2 seconds later, the button comes in. Good. So let's see what else. The testimonial, if we look at the HTML, I don't want the actual testimonial section. I want the div underneath it. Okay, so we're going to use testimonial and then the div, which will come in, which will animate. So let's say ID, testimonial, and then the div underneath it. And we're going to set that duration, that's fine. I want to set the origin to bottom and then get rid of the distance. Okay, now we want info left and info right. Paste that in again and change this to info left. And duration, that's good. Origin, I'm going to set to left. And let's see, distance 300 pixels. Now one thing I want to do is set the view factor because we only want that to fire off when we scroll down to it. So we can set a view factor to a certain percentage, and I'm going to set it to 2%. So when we see 2% of that element, it's going to do the animation. So view factor, and we're going to set it to 0.2. Alright, and then I'm just going to copy this and do the same for info right. Okay, except that's going to have an origin of right. And that should do it. Let's save. I'm just going to reload. Everything comes in, and then we go and start to scroll down, and then we see that. Oh, actually, you know what? This one, info 1, isn't down far enough. So what I'm going to do is add another line to the testimonial. Where is it? Testimonial, and let's see. No, that's not it. See, now if I reload, it hasn't loaded down here yet because it's not in view. But if we start to scroll, there it is. And the next one. Alright, cool. So the very last thing we want to do is the links. I want to be able to click, and you can see it does go down to where it's supposed to. Same with contact, but it's not a smooth transition. So I'm just going to paste in a block of code down here that I use for this. We're going to go below this script. Alright, so we'll paste this in. Okay, so this is just a block of jQuery that is going to implement that smooth scrolling effect. Let me actually set this to wrap so you guys can see the whole thing. Let's see, soft wrap. There we go. And if you don't want to type all this out, you can go ahead and just look at the project files. I actually didn't write this. I got this off, I think, a Stack Overflow post. It's not the neatest thing in the world, but what I want to focus on is the scroll reveal in this project, not the vertical scrolling. So let's save this and make sure it works. So if I click About, scrolls down, Contact, and Home. Great. So that's it. We've built a Bootstrap template that has a little bit of animation. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I know it had been a while since I did a front-end video. We've been doing lots of PHP and some Python and all that. So that's it. If you aren't subscribed and you liked this, please do so. I upload at least twice a week. And thanks for watching.